It's Friday, captive audience.
Great day of the week for a Friday.
Well,
It would have been better if it was yesterday, but today's a pretty good day for a Friday.
it's David. It actually is Friday. You might have wished for Friday yesterday, but today is the day. So
Yeah. Well, Friday's relative for people. Some people work Saturday and Sunday, and so Monday's their Friday or Sunday's their Friday.
true.
But there
Very
is,
true.
excuse me, there is, I've noticed some, at least for me, some measurable Fridayness about a Friday, regardless of what day Friday is. Just, I call it that Friday kind of feeling. And I am frozen again.
Here, I'm in a different location, so you can see I'm at our office, actually, our campaign headquarters in Milton Freewater. And so there's a highway out there, and there is lots of traffic. And I would say people are headed out of town. They're off of work and heading out.
Good.
I didn't know
Good deal.
if you could hear that or not. I'm hoping not.
No, I cannot hear it.
Good.
But then I don't hear very well anyhow. So, yeah, Karen's in the kitchen. She says she can't hear it, and she can hear it really well.
Okay.
You apparently didn't spend enough time in front of loudspeakers.
No, I have actually good hearing. And I can remember many a concert that I would go, oh my gosh, my ears hurt. Yeah.
Ted Nugent was the worst. First chord was ear ringing, and I went, "Oh my God, this is." And I was a teenager, and I'm going, "Wow, this is too loud." But you know what? The loudest.
What was the first concert you ever went to?
Kiss.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had a very high bar for concerts after that, and as a performer, I was a performer for many years, a rock and roll musician, and I love spectacle. I love the show, the spectacle, the whole thing. The bigger the better. I'm absolutely have been enchanted with it my entire life. And if I could do anything that I wanted to do, that would probably be, it might be just the top of my list. It would be spectacle. So, a producer of 10 years at Fox News made a spectacle. I don't know if anybody saw it. I'm unable to post that as a picture. But it was maybe can you post a link? Yeah, I can post a link, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can post a link.
Okay. Well, I'll post a link from my Twitter page that has a screenshot of the banner, Chiron they call it. Didn't know that, but it's a Fox News banner, and it looked just like we look here. It had Biden over here at the White House speaking, and then it had a feed of Donald Trump speaking, probably at a rally or something. And the and the banner at the bottom read, "Wannabe dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested." And apparently, according to Tucker Carlson, that was up for all of 30 seconds before everybody at Fox News said, "Oh shit, we got to get that off of there," and and had a coronary, and they took it down. And apparently, the producer, who was one of the best producers there, apparently put in his resignation and was willing, to give them the 2 weeks notice. And they said, "Nah, why don't you just clear out your stuff and get out of here like right now?" So another one bites the dust at Fox, but man, what a way to go out, huh?
You know what? That is a way to go out. That's going, you know what? I'm done with the lies. I'm done with the deception. And let's just speak the truth. And I didn't know it was called a cryon either. And I read that this morning when I was looking through social media, and I went, holy cow. I didn't realize it was a producer. that had done that. And so, you know what? That's going out real good. You know what? Come on, go to some other news source that is being showing legitimate news and speaking truth.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and by the way, Tucker Carlson has his, I think, 4th episode out. So if you haven't seen that, you want to see that. Yes, it would be his 4th episode. And and he spends that entire 4th episode. I don't know if anybody talked about it on Captive Audience yet this week, but he spends the entire episode, and you really have to see this one. And I should probably put a link to it. You really have to see this. And he spends the entire episode explaining exactly why President Biden could not be a wannabe dictator, and it's hilarious. And so I think Tucker Carlson's having a great time being able to talk about whatever the heck he wants without any kind of corporate heavy-handedness telling him he can't say this or can't say that. So it's pretty good. I'm gonna see if I can find it here, and I'll post a link to it.
Yeah, it is. I enjoyed his 3rd episode as well. So I'm enjoying Tucker's freedom of speech on Twitter and his subject matter and what he is, what's going on. I like it because our attacks on our freedom of speech are everywhere, and so he's exercising that right, and just keep going for it. Well, Kathy, we're going to get to our politics here. Please get to our politics here and what the Republicans are giving away. Yeah, well, so it's refreshing to see Tucker untethered. There you've got the tweet up there.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure exactly what the Republicans gave away, except for some of our gun rights, the ability to build our own weapons, as well. It's not so much. I guess that's what my takeaway is. That's what they gave away. But I think the biggest thing is what they gave. And what they gave was cover for child sex traffickers. I mean, that's what 2002 is all about. It's the only. If you look at that bill and you read through it and you go, well, who does this benefit? Does it benefit parents? Oh, no, it doesn't benefit parents. Does it benefit children? No, it doesn't benefit children. Who does this benefit? Well, it benefits child sex traffickers. And I think, that's just, that should have been a no-go, but let's discuss the various sides of this issue. So one side of the issue is that, and I'm not, we don't know what kind of deals were made, and that always kind of irritates me. We never really know what the deal is. So did they get all of their fines suspended? Did they get their absences excused?
I believe they got their fines suspended, but they did not get their absences excused and I've just posted several articles there. And so what it is what Republicans gained back for parents is that their children cannot get an abortion without their knowledge. So the parental consent is necessary.
Under an already young age.
Right.
Correct?
Right. Correct.
Because I think it's like 15 and older, they can still get one. And 2002, right, if I remember correctly, modified that down to whatever age, something like that.
Yeah, it was. 2002 was really young, and that they didn't have to have parental consent. And so now they have to. And then the only thing that remained for guns was we've lost, it will be illegal to have ghost guns. what they call ghost guns, which are hobby guns, quite frankly. You know, those are guns that you can buy the parts and put them all together and make yourself a gun.
Right. Yeah.
And
Just like
there shouldn't
many
be
other
anything
things.
illegal about that. You actually, not at all. It's
No.
kind of like you want to build a car, you can buy a car, all kinds of car parts, but saying with helicopters, small airplanes, their kits,
Mm-hmm.
and now and also guns. It's no different. You can kill people with each of those implements.
Yeah, you could probably buy the parts to a hammer, right?
Yeah, there's typically only two parts, but those are
Well, I mean, you buy the two parts to, there's three parts. There's a handle, there's a head, and there's a wedge. So you buy the three parts to the hammer, you put that together. It does not have a serial number, and you could kill somebody with it. And you could do the same thing with a knife, I suppose. You could, you know, forge your own steel or, you know, melt your own steel, pound it into a knife, put a handle on it, and boom, now you can kill people with it. So clearly, you know, I'm not even going to use the ghost gun term because that's not what it is. It's Americans' home built weapons, you know, which have been part of the American experience for many, many years. I mean, especially out in the West, you know, people, I'm sure people had to make their own guns out here a lot, you know, and clearly it's an infringement upon our Second Amendment rights.
yeah. So I am reading in here that this in this one article that they have agreed, the lawmakers agreed to keep in place a legal requirement that parental permission is required for children under 15 to end a pregnancy. But that requirement could be overridden if separate medical cases conclude informing parents would be harmful to the child, according to a briefing on that. So that's, you know, we'll see. Democrats agreed to next portion of the bill expanding abortion access on university campuses and in rural parts of the state. But unfortunately, the part that remained intact included expanding what gender affirming care must be covered by insurance plans and legal protections for providers who perform abortions for patients who come from states in which similar procedures would be illegal. So we're going to be what's the term? It's a medical
Abortion sanctuary state.
well, that too, but medical tourism.
Oh yeah, yeah.
For gender affirming care and even abortions.
Come to Oregon, get yourself an abortion, and then go tour downtown with all the great shops and restaurants.
Yeah. So we were able to keep. Yeah, we were able to keep the guns are still available to those that are 18 years old. They didn't raise that, and also, you know, it's a compromise, and that's what happens when you know, they're working together to get the Senate happening back. But they have used, and you know, I think that's going to be challenged in court, and that it will. I believe that they will win that's unconstitutional, and the way that it's written to ban a legislator from running again.
Right. Well, Democrats are now floating a bill to end the quorum requirements. So they would just as soon carry on what they believe to be the business of the state, which is really nothing more the business than the far left, without any involvement from Republicans. You know, I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure how to think about this. I'm not sure how I hate to use the word feel, because maybe it is a feel. I'm not sure I have a feeling about it. I mean, if it were me, and it's just me because I probably wouldn't care about getting reelected. I probably, which is why I probably wouldn't get elected in the first place, and certainly wouldn't get much support from anyone because I wouldn't care about getting reelected. I would not come back, especially if I knew that I probably couldn't run for reelection at some point in time.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this, Sonny. How should I think about this? I'm a Republican. I'm not really part of the Republican machine anymore. But how should I think about this?
I
Just
don't
worry.
know how you
Just
should.
worry about. Just worry about how my rep and my senator did it, or what?
Well, I think you have to talk with your senator. I'll tell you the ones, there were, I think, 5 that came back into session today. And mine, Senator Hansel, was one. Well, he's not going to be up for reelection. So that's a good one that has over 10 or more unexcused absences. But in reading the bill that they want to lower the threshold to be a simple majority, Don and I talked about that on Wednesday. And actually, Oregon is only one of 4 states that has a 2/3 majority in order to pass legislation. And except for taxes, other states have it that if it's going to be a tax increase, then you have to have a 2/3 majority. But most of the states are simple. So that is the legislation that they're, proposing. One of the good things, I'll just give you a little good news, is that some of the things that we're compromised on is to prioritize legislation exempt farming, ranching, and timber families from the Oregon estate tax. That's Senate Bill 498. And quite frankly, Oregon shouldn't have a state tax, estate tax. But that's a start because everybody right now would be affected with an estate tax. And that's actually really hurting our family farms getting passed down to generations. And
Yeah.
so I think that's a good start. Is it farm?
Not just farms either. It's real estate holdings, real estate empires. It's businesses. It's
Yeah.
I had a friend whose dad died, and he had shopping centers, and hell, they
Absolutely.
had to liquidate, I don't know, 1/3 of them or something to pay the taxes on him after he died.
Right. 100%. And that's why I said, in fact, I know people. Well, I know people that have left the state for that reason. Because of the estate tax, and not all states have it. And frankly, it's a death tax or an estate tax. They're 2 different ones. So another one is, I like this, impeachment of statewide elected executive branch officials to the House of Representatives and the power to try impeachments in the Senate. Oregon is currently the only state in the nation without such a procedure, and that is House Joint Resolution 16. That should pass. I hope it does.
Are you saying?
And then,
Are you saying that these were part of the deal that the
yes,
Democrats will pass them? Okay.
yes, this is part of the deal.
Okay.
Okay, and then
Better.
also, go ahead.
I said that's better.
It is. So I'm giving you some of the main points of emphasis within the framework of their negotiations to come back. Okay, and if we had had a different Senate majority leader, that's a new leader that's there, it might have gone differently. But right now, this is the cards that have been dealt and where it went. And he seemed quite unbendable and non-compromising. So here's some good things that have come out. And they're also, for the conservatives, ensures the bill summaries will be redrafted to comply with House rules, Senate rules, Oregon statute, and the Oregon Constitution. They walked out. The Senate walked out. The bills were not following the Oregon statutes and the Oregon Constitution of readability, which I believe is like to an 8th grade level. And so another article that I read, sure enough, today they were readable. They were within those parameters, and let alone 2002, the House Bill 2002 as well. So it's a compromise, and
So we got some good stuff out of it. But what about the kickers? Or any?
I didn't see anything about the kicker in what I read, so I don't have any information on that.
Yeah, I don't either. I know. I mean, I know as a matter of course, in any given session, if there is a kicker, the Democrats want to take it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
That's a given. That's a given.
The Oregon Senate passed a bill banning politicians from accept dollars a year in cash from one donor. And that is absolute blowback from the Democrats and their stacks of cash by the owners of LaMotta. And
it's a war on cash.
It's the war on cash. But here you had campaign staff for Tina Kotek drove last year to a West Hills mansion that the Mota owners had rented at the time to pick up tens of thousands of dollars in cash. Mm-hmm. And so did campaign staff for Wagner. This is in a story in the Willamette. And so Oregon is one of only 5 states that allow unlimited contributions, which meant donors could give limitless amounts in cash from sources that can't be traced. So it is on cash. You can still write a check. That's not cash. That's traceable.
Right.
It's cannabis and the druggies.
Yeah.
You could say.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've talked in the show about the effect of drug cartel money in politics in Oregon and other states, cities, counties around the nation. I'm sure it's there. I keep referring to the fact that you look at some of the legislation that's passed in Oregon, and it seems to benefit drug cartels and their activities. So, and that's what campaign cash is for. Yeah. Campaign cash is to get your agenda passed. And I hear people, man, I just read something about it the other day. Who was it? Well, maybe it was Elon Musk. Yeah, it was Elon Musk said, there's too much money in lobbying, for the good of the people. And I keep coming back to this. It's not the money in lobbying, it's the person who is willing to trade the public trust that they have been entrusted with by getting elected for campaign cash. That's the problem. If there were no power, my son's quote, actually, if there were no power, if the people that took these campaign contributions in exchange for legislation, if they had less power, money would show itself out, right? Nobody would get big checks if these elected officials didn't have the power to pass what almost invariably is legislation to squash competition, right?
Yeah.
If you're a large company with a big bank account, you can say, yeah, I want regulation on my industry that I can afford, but my competition can't. And that's, one of the ways we end up with so much regulation on business, and, it makes it so hard to do business. So, I guess, but everybody there's so many things in politics that have the same approach. It's like, let's get rid of the symptom and maybe the problem will go away. You know what I'm saying? It's like illegal immigration. Let's force all businesses to use E-Verify, right?
Right.
Well, why don't you just enforce the laws and not have the damn people flowing into the country?
And
You know?
that's exactly it, David, is enforce the laws on the books. Because we have
Yeah.
the laws, and build the wall, finish the wall, make our border impenetrable, except for through the legal means and walking across, then it would be better. So you have a point there. And as Lori says, it's the bribes. Lobbying is legalized bribery
Bribery. It's
in America.
exactly what it is. It's
It
exactly
is.
what it is.
And when I was in Colombia, I spent, I don't know, a couple years there, sailing on our boat and traveling around. And there's a lot of islands of Colombia and the mainland. They had a guy that I met there. He says, something I just don't. And he went to school in Ohio, high school, as a foreign exchange student. He says, something I never understood about America is how you allow legalized bribery. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, lobbying in America. And I said, you're absolutely right. It's the law in Colombia.
Yeah, we do it on the down low in Colombia. Yeah.
So, did you see about the Oregon Health Authority and their mishandling of hundreds of thousands of dollars in federal mental health money?
I saw the headline. I didn't read the story, and I was surprised it was only hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, it's over $500,000, and that they had received for federal dollars and they used it toward the expansion and remodeling of a residential youth facility in Eugene. That is against the rules. Using the money for major building improvements isn't allowed under the federal mental health grant program. And so that's the problem. They can utilize it to fund more people that are helping it, and hire more people, but not improving a facility. So it was over $500,000 to take a facility that could serve 12 people, and now they can serve 20 for $500,000, over $500,000. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Yeah. Well, it kind of makes me wonder if that was just if that was the throw out. Here, let's throw this out, and maybe that'll redirect people from all of the other money that we misspent. Because $500,000 is nothing for a Oregon state agency, an agency in the state of Oregon, to mishandle, misuse, lose, waste, throw into a wood stove and set on fire. We know that. We've seen the state of Oregon burn up as much as $500 million in 1 year on a website that didn't work and a bridge that was never built.
Oh, yeah. There's so much waste in Oregon. But I will say they did spend the money on some tangible things. They remodeled the bathrooms, they put a window system and other equipment. I don't know what other equipment, and it's to help. So I hope they're actually helping some people, beyond the remodel that they had to do and the upgrade that they had to do. I hope they're actually helping people, because Lord knows in Oregon, because of legalized drugs, among other things, we have a lot of mental health issues. And because more and more and more of those people are coming to Oregon. We're a destination as a drug haven.
Yeah.
And it's so
sad.
We
are.
So sad. Yeah.
Yeah. Among other West Coast cities. Seattle, San Francisco, everybody else is kind of in the same boat. The crime, neither the peddling or the consumption of drugs is prosecuted, I think, anywhere on that West Coast. So, if you're going to be a druggie, if you want to smoke fentanyl all day long and put yourself into a mental health crisis in which you're unable to sustain a place to live, then Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, great place for that.
So the Oregon Health Authority is going to see, let's see, are we going to have to pay back? You know, and the association that used it, Looking Glass, it was Looking Glass, and see, they spent the grant, also spent the grant money to train staff. So they're waiting to see if they're going to get their hands slapped and have to pay it back or just what. But you know, we've got some big news today, David, that affects all 90% of Oregonians that have a driver's license or a state ID. And there was a massive data breach. Doesn't surprise me, and I'm sure it doesn't surprise you, David.
No, it does not. And it appears to me, I mean, there's 4.5 million people in Oregon. There's 3.5 million people who had their information compromised at the DMV. I'm pretty sure that's probably all the drivers. That's everybody has had their information compromised. Yeah, and then 2 weeks go by, and then a DMV spokesman comes out and says, "Well, you should probably check for credit fraud since your information has been put out to credit fraudsters." Right. It's like you couldn't have mentioned this 2 weeks ago. Exactly. I mean, can you imagine that? Hey, Suni, I lost all of your credit cards, and 2 weeks later I go, hey, you might want to cancel those.
Exactly. They found this on June 1st. June 1st that they found this, and they're going, well, maybe they're just targeting some people. Maybe they're targeting, electeds. Maybe they're targeting high profile people. Maybe they're targeting some other agencies. Well, I thought of, they were targeting voters, David.
Possible.
What if they were targeting voters? And so they knew about this early. Let's see. The breach was reported June 12th. And ODOT says they didn't know until this week on June 12th. So June 1st, the breach was reported. June 12th, ODOT says they found out. And so here we are on, what is it, the 18th today? And
16th, I think, 17th, 16th. 16th.
Okay, there we are, the 16th.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It's like no one's working at the state of Oregon. I mean, don't you think that the minute that you have a breach, you just put out a quick statement saying, hey, we don't know yet what was breached, but we got a breach.
Yeah. And they're wondering, is it a nation state attack? Are they going to, do for the information or underground forums and compromised identities? Yeah, everybody go check your credit and see if anything's happened. So ODOT advises those with an Oregon ID or driver's license, David, that like 90, it does say 90, but it's like everybody in Oregon, to access their credit reports to check for any transactions or accounts that you do not recognize. And so I did post the link there, and that is some big news. But we have outdated systems. We have people that aren't paying attention. Look at what happened with the unemployment checks, a few years ago. And, at my town, our DMV office used to be open 5 days a week. And it's the planned, no, I don't know about planned, but it is definitely the state created crisis of a shortage of people.
Yeah, well, it's a shortage of people. It's a shortage of competence too. I mean, I don't know anything that the state of Oregon does well. I have yet to encounter a single agency that performs at a level even a fraction of what a private organization would perform at. It just, I have a business partner who's waiting on 10 licenses to be processed, right? And they're very time sensitive things, cost millions of dollars if they don't get processed within the next few weeks. And the state agency says, well, this is what they told them. They said, we're all going to have to, all of the different technicians that are on each of these licenses are all going to have a conference, and we're all going to have to talk about this together. But, and this is like Wednesday, said it won't happen this week. And Monday is the Juneteenth holiday. So next week's probably not looking good either.
It goes from Monday being the holiday, so that counts out the whole week? That makes no sense.
Apparently, according to this state of Oregon employee.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the
at the end of this, the agency will receive $60,000.
You would think they would be like expediting that, right?
You and me would be expediting that, wouldn't we? We'd work over the weekend to get that thing done so we could get the $60,000 in fees.
Yeah.
But not so at the state of Oregon, or probably hell any other state. I don't know. I haven't dealt with any of the other ones, but it's just, there's no competence. There's no especially in IT and tech. I mean, it's just screwed up. I've said it time and time again. If I were elected governor, if I were in Kotek's position, I would hire out all of the IT. I would farm out every single piece of anything that happened on a computer for the state of Oregon. I would farm it out to Amazon. I'd say, Amazon, take care of all this stuff. It would cost half as much, and it would perform 100,000% better. I mean, you go to Amazon and say, process, you process all these unemployment claims. It would have been done in 24 hours. Everybody would have got their unemployment. Nobody be, we talked about it on the show at the time. I don't know. I mean, it must be horrible to be forced to no longer have an income, be forced to stay home, and then you don't have any income, and you think you're going to get an unemployment check, and you don't get one for 3 months.
Right.
That's pretty damn hard.
6 months in some cases.
Yeah.
Well, I have recently made an Amazon order. I made several because we've got some events coming up. So I was making some orders, and I did get an email back from one of the suppliers that said, hey, you need to cancel that order. We're going to, because Amazon screwed up. That's what it said. So mistakes can happen everywhere, but they happen a hell of a lot in Oregon.
Certainly. I mean, there'll be mistakes, but I mean, Oregon can't do anything IT-wise correctly. I mean, how do you spend $300 million, 1/3 of $1 billion, on a website that never worked?
Never.
It never worked. It never came to be. $300 million pissed down the drain, and it never came to be.
But I think that was designed to pad somebody's pocket.
Well,
I do.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
I don't have any evidence of that, but that's my opinion.
Well, I think the state, the state tried to get money back out of Oracle, and Oracle said, hey, you guys screwed this up, not us. And they won. So,
yeah.
And Pam says the ODFW is an awful site. All of the state websites are awful. They're awful. They're slow loading. They're glitchy. Every time I pay some sort of fee on the OLCC website, not every time, about 1/3 of the time I pay, I get an error message. And so then I have to call and I have to go, okay, well, did it go through? Oh yeah, it went through. But I get this, they're just horrible. Spin, waiting for it to load. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, there you have it. I think we ought to take all of.
Oh, David's froze up. He says, I think he's going to say, I think we ought to take all of the, like you said earlier. There, you're
Yeah.
back.
Yep.
Hey, everybody. Have a good weekend. It's smoky over here in Northeast Oregon.
Oh, really?
And there's some fires around us over here. One is about 70% contained, and it's like 17,000 acres, almost just over 16,000. Yeah, we've got a few fires over here. And anyway, have a great weekend. Nice to see you. There is a lot of good out there, despite what the problems that are here in Oregon. Despite those, there is a lot of good out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people out there. There's probably a lot of good people that work for the state. It's too bad they have to work for the state.
Yeah, I'm sure they're frustrated. Some.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of good out there, but none of it exists in government. So there.
Okay. Well, I'd call that
We
a
done?
wrap.
Are we done, everybody? Everybody ready for a weekend? Looks like it. Pat's ready. Lori's ready. Bobby's ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm
Good night,
ready
everyone.
too. Night.